You're at the grocery store. Saturday morning. Nothing special. You're pushing the cart through the aisles, grabbing the usual things. Eggs, chicken, some pasta, a few vegetables. Normal stuff. And somewhere around the dairy section, you stop. You're holding a thing of Greek yogurt. And there's this moment of, wait, did this used to be $3.99? Because it says $5.49 now. You put it in the cart anyway. You keep moving. But something's off. The total at checkout is higher than it should be. Not dramatically higher, just higher. And you can't quite point to what changed, because everything looks the same. Same store, same cart, same items. Just a number at the end that's quietly, persistently wrong. So I started tracking it every week for 12 months. Same store, same 40 items, same list. And what I found was not what I expected. My name's Peter, and if you've been standing in a grocery store checkout line wondering why your bill keeps climbing, even though you haven't changed anything, and you want to actually understand the mechanism behind it, not just feel vaguely frustrated about it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because the data here tells a story that grocery stores are very much hoping you won't notice.
Let me set the scene for what a typical grocery budget actually looks like inside a real financial picture. You're making $58,000 a year. After taxes, federal, state, FICA, you're bringing home about $3,650 a month. That's your real number, not the $58,000, the $3,650. Rent, $1,500. Car payment, $380. Insurance, $165. Student loans, $290. Phone and utilities, $160. That's $2,495 in fixed expenses before you've bought a single piece of food. You've got $1,155 left, and out of that, groceries. Just groceries. Cooking at home, being responsible, not eating out constantly. A year ago, you were spending $310 a month. That felt manageable. You had $845 left for everything else. Today, same list, same store, same habits, $415 a month. That's $105 more per month than a year ago, $1,260 more per year, just on groceries, just from price changes. You didn't do anything differently. You didn't upgrade your diet or start buying fancy things. The stuff you always bought just costs more now. And here's what that $105 a month actually means in your life. You've got $740 left instead of $845. That's gas, clothing, any kind of social life, any savings, any breathing room. $740 for the entire rest of your existence for the month. That's what a grocery bill increase actually does to a tight budget. It's not $105. It's the difference between saving something this month and saving nothing. So here's what 12 months of tracking actually showed. Most people think grocery prices go up evenly, like inflation is this uniform thing that raises everything by the same percentage. You've probably heard grocery prices rose 8%, or whatever the number is for a given year, and you think, okay, everything's about 8% more expensive. Fine. That's not what happens. That's not even close to what happens. What actually happens is something called category clustering, and it's one of the reasons your bill feels so much worse than the headline inflation number suggests. Here's what I tracked. Chicken breast, up 31% over the 12 months. Eggs, up 44% at peak, then down, but still 22% above where they started. Butter, up 27%. Olive oil, up 38%. Greek yogurt, up 34%. Pasta, actually relatively flat, up about 6%. Canned goods, up about 9%. Frozen vegetables, up about 11%. See the pattern? The staples that form the backbone of a budget home-cooked diet, the proteins, the dairy, the fats, those are the ones that spiked hardest. The cheap carb fillers stayed relatively stable. So if you cook real food at home using real ingredients, your personal grocery inflation is not 8%. It's closer to 25% to 30%, maybe more. The headline number averages in things like alcohol and soda and candy and specialty items that hold prices down. But if your cart looks like an actual home cook's cart, chicken, eggs, butter, olive oil, fresh produce, dairy, you got hit dramatically harder than the average. That's why it feels wrong,
Because it is wrong. For your specific shopping pattern, it was worse than what anyone officially reported. And here's the psychological thing that makes this particularly hard to process. Grocery prices work on something called price anchoring. Your brain has a stored price for every item you regularly buy. Chicken breast is $3.99 a pound. That's just the number. It lives in your head as a fact, as normal, as baseline. When the price changes to $4.99 or $5.29, something uncomfortable happens. Your brain registers a conflict. The number in front of you doesn't match the number in your head. But here's what grocery stores have figured out. If that price stays elevated for long enough, say 4 or 5 months, your brain updates its anchor. $5.29 becomes the new normal. The conflict goes away. You stop noticing. And the really insidious part, once you stop noticing, they can raise it again. Another small step, another anchor update, another few months, and you adapt again and again. This is called anchor drift, and it's one of the core mechanisms behind why people consistently underestimate how much their grocery bills have grown. Your brain keeps updating the baseline, so the comparison point keeps moving, so the increase never quite feels as large as it actually is. You look back at a receipt from 18 months ago, and your stomach drops, because that's the only time you get an anchor that didn't drift. An old receipt is immune to the adaptation, and when you compare it to today, that's when you actually feel how much has changed. The data over 12 months showed something else worth knowing. Prices don't move uniformly through the year. There are clusters. Protein spiked in spring. Dairy spiked in late summer. Oil spiked consistently through the whole period, but with 2 sharp jumps in particular months. If you were shopping without awareness during those spike windows, you absorbed the full increase. If you noticed and adjusted, bought more frozen chicken when fresh spiked, shifted oils temporarily, stocked up on butter before the August jump, you could absorb maybe 40% less of the total increase. The opportunity is real, but you have to be watching for it. And most people aren't watching. They're just feeling vaguely worse at the checkout every week, wondering if they're imagining it.
Here's how people who don't feel squeezed by grocery inflation actually approach this differently. And this isn't about being extreme or obsessive, it's just a slightly different level of awareness. They stopped shopping on autopilot. They walk into the store knowing roughly what proteins and staples cost right now, this week, compared to last month. Not because they're tracking spreadsheets, just because they're paying attention. When something spikes, they see it immediately, and they pivot. They buy the thing that didn't spike this week. When something drops back down, they stock up slightly. They also shop with a total number in mind, not a list. There's a difference. A list-based shopper buys exactly what's on the list, regardless of price. A total number shopper has a target, say $90 for the week, and makes decisions inside that constraint. Same nutrition, same meals, but the flexibility to swap a spiking item for a stable one. And here's what changes when you do this. It's not dramatic. You don't suddenly save hundreds of dollars a month, but you stop being passive. You stop just absorbing what the store decides to charge you this week. You're making choices instead of just paying whatever the shelf label says. That $105 monthly increase I measured, people shopping actively instead of passively absorbed maybe $60 of it. Still real inflation, it's still up, but not $105, more like $40 to $45. Over a year, that's the difference between $1,260 more spent and $500 more spent. Now, let me be honest. Tracking grocery prices is not exciting. It's not a lifestyle. Nobody's going to congratulate you for noticing the chicken breast went up 31%. There's no viral post and I bought frozen thighs this month. It's quiet, boring, unglamorous financial awareness. But here's what it actually does. It gives you a little of your agency back in a situation where everything is designed for you to be passive. Every pricing decision in every grocery store is made by people who have studied how to extract maximum spending from you with minimum resistance. Price anchoring, package size reductions, shrinkflation, strategic placement, sale theater, where prices get briefly reduced after being artificially inflated. The $105 you're overspending isn't because you're careless. It's because the system is very, very good at being invisible. So here's the thing about grocery inflation. It's not actually about groceries. It's about whether you're an active participant in your own finances or a passive one. Grocery shopping is just where that plays out most visibly, most frequently, every single week. The people who keep their grocery bills in check while prices spike around them aren't doing anything magical. They're just watching, noticing, adjusting slightly when something changes. That's it. And that awareness, that small habit of not being on autopilot at the store, tends to spread to every purchase, to every bill, to every decision where someone else is hoping you won't quite pay attention. Because the moment you start paying attention, the whole game changes.
Thanks for watching.